Should old acquaintance be forgotten? Who was my old acquaintance?
A 1, 2, 3, 4.
Hey man, what were you drinking? Natural Light or Corona? Kind of the same.
Corona.
Corona. Sounds good. Sounds good. You want to keep it open then?
Yeah, keep it open.
There you go.
Thanks, boss.
It was Todd?
Frank.
Frank. Oh yeah. Yeah, it sounds... Happy New Year, one and all, and welcome to the first episode of the winter season of A Very Odd Caster. I'm your host, The Caster. I hope everyone's had a great holiday season. I had a pretty crazy holiday myself. Got some good presents for Christmas from the fam and also from Santa. Santa did not give me a haircut though. So I'll be working on that soon. And because it's winter and we had a warm spell there to start the new year, but now it's cooling off and I've pulled out the turtleneck. So do not be surprised if at any time I break into beat poetry. New Year's was very strange this year. New Year's used to be my favorite holiday in the world, especially when I was a young buck, shall we say. But as the years have gone by, raising kids and whatnot, I'm so beat at the end of the holidays. I just want to please make it stop. So I'm always relieved when January arrives. But this year was really strange. Did not partake in some of the usual festivities. For one thing, I was on the mend from some kind of weird illness. The flu, COVID, co-fluenza, fluvid, boogers. Anyhow, I wasn't doing real good, so I just didn't do much. The only ball I saw drop at midnight was the Ohio State kicker's game-winning field goal attempt, which landed in the corner of the end zone. So that was a little better than watching Ryan Seacrest or Mariah Carey lip sync, but nonetheless, it was very strange because once that kick left the guy's foot and went, I'm like, ball game. I said, ooh, it's midnight. I changed the channel and everyone's kissing. And so I did what I usually do on New Year's. I turned around and went, never seen that one before, have you? Well, let's see what's going on in our world. Everyone, the whole sports world, and really the whole country has been closely monitoring the extraordinary Damar Hamlin situation, the Buffalo Bills safety who suffered cardiac arrest right after a play in the Cincinnati game. Stopped breathing, his life was saved. He appears to be doing better, but whew, man. It's kind of strange. My own personal, most people just sort of sitting around watching the game. I was actually driving my friend's car south on a delivery and broke down in the state of North Carolina. By the way, did you know that North Carolina is home to the Badcock furniture chain? Well, now you know. And of course, they say, as they say, Badcock is better than no cock when it comes to furniture. Wood. Cherry wood. Anyhow, we were talking about a very serious matter, the Damar Hamlin injury, the incident. So I broke down that Monday around 5, 6 o'clock. It's getting dark. Looked like it was clear I wasn't going anywhere the rest of that day. So I said, well, I wanted to watch that Bills-Bengals game anyhow, so I'll just camp out at this cheap motel. I happened to break down right next to a cheap motel. So I said, kind of wanted to do this anyhow, so we'll deal with the car in the morning. And so I kind of looked up the game and saw that it was on ESPN. So I checked into this motel, paid the money, and then went and turned on the TV and discovered that this motel out in the middle of rural North Carolina, home to many Badcock furniture stores, the motel did not have ESPN. So I was like, and I really needed something passive aggressive like football to get my mind off the fact that my car had broken down and I was a long way from home. So I started looking up local sports bars, maybe places where I might be able to hitch an Uber in and watch the game, and made some phone calls. And I was, I even pulled up Uber to see how much it cost, and I was hemming and hawing because I just sort of thought, this day has been bad enough already. Do I want to go to some unfamiliar Yahoo place? Sorry, folks. And I don't know, who knows, getting a bar brawl or something like that. So I was kind of dragging my feet before deciding what to do. And then I said, well, I'm going to just flick the channels here and see. And lo and behold, the Buffalo-Cincinnati game was on ABC. Because, ABC and ESPN are a team. So there it was. And I turned it on right after Cincinnati had scored a touchdown, apparently on the opening drive of the game. And then Buffalo was getting the kickoff. And Buffalo then turned around and went on a nice long drive. And then they stalled inside, I think, the 10. They were down there. And Cincy held them, and Buffalo kicked the field goal. It was 7-3. Cincy got the ball back, and that's when it happened. Watching the play live, it wasn't one of those things where you go, ooh, wow. There's a lot of those when you watch football, especially in the NFL. But then they said, player down or whatever. And when the camera cut over there was players around him. I saw Hamlin's legs, and I was like, he's out. He is out, And so anyhow, we all know what happened then. It was really scary. So fortunately, the young man received outstanding medical attention by the training staff there on the site. Saved his life, obviously. And the great thing is he seems to be doing good. He's seems to be coherent, communicating well, and so everyone's still praying for his full recovery. The hell with football, by the way. but we just want this guy. He's 24 years old, man. He's got his whole life ahead of him. So it was, man, a chilling thing. So in the aftermath, of course, these major incidents sort of take on a life of their own. And a lot of media interviews with doctors and whatnot about what could have happened, what may have happened, blah, 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 blah. So in the aftermath, many of the medical experts feel that Hamlin suffered from something called commotio cordis. That's the medical term. Basically, it's like a freak injury where you take a blow to the middle of your chest, and it's almost always fatal, causes cardiac arrest. They're basing that on the fact that that's kind of pretty much how Hamlin took the hit, and the lack of any other explanation. Stay tuned for all that. Who knows if Hamlin had a heart condition or what. There's also speculation about his vaccination history, which is all speculation, right? But commotio cordis is this very rare case where you're hit right in the exact spot, and it happens right at the time, a certain time in the heart, between heartbeats or something. It's almost like a perfect storm, and it's extremely rare. It's only happened, a few times in football. But the interesting thing is I was listening to this medical expert talk about commotio cordis. I suddenly realized I had a flashback to something in my childhood. And yes, I guess it would qualify as a stupid thing from my childhood. But it's kind of scary too, given all this. So this is a very vague memory. It's extremely sketchy. I don't remember exactly how old I was, but I want to say I was somewhere between age 12 and 15, I'm guessing. I don't even remember the kid who was involved in this. But it was back during, I think, the period that we used to have these boxing matches. We had all these little boxing tournaments in my basement. My mother hated them because every match somebody would wind up with a bloody nose or crying or something, And that's a whole other take, but I believe it was in that period of time. But there was some kid, I'll never be able to remember who it was. But he's in school, he was telling me that if he punched me right in a certain spot, that he would kill me instantly. And I'm like 12, 13, whatever I was. I'm like, get the fuck away from me. And because then this idiot kid started punching me. Not like viciously, but he'd punch me like right in the chest. I'm like, are you trying to illustrate this to me, kid? I don't know, but it was creepy. But I didn't know what the heck he was talking about. But it came, that memory of, 6 years ago? So that memory came flooding back to me when I started hearing about what may have happened to Hamlin. And that indeed was a very scary and stupid thing from my childhood. So anyhow, we don't know yet at this point. It's now been a full week as of this recording that Hamlin went down with this injury. So there's been a lot of speculation as to what occurred there. And of course, as I said, this thing has taken on kind of a whole other life of its own. And one thing that was kind of predicted is that all the anti-footballers are out in full force, particularly anti-male anti-footballers. But I digress. You're starting to see this term applied to football by these anti-footballers. They call it modern day gladiator violence, or a modern day gladiator spectacle. They're all repeating the same things because they're so original. Modern day gladiator this, modern day gladiator that. The only thing I think of is that line from Airplane. Joey, do you like movies about gladiators? Whoa! Sorry about that, Fred. Frank. I don't suppose you still want this Corona, eh?
What the hell, you drunk or something?
I'll get you another one. Where were we? This place smells like a bar. Yeah, so all the anti-footballers are out looking for a new reason to cancel football. But all this sort of schmarmy-wormy, it has no place in a full contact sport like football. We need more Bobby Wagners in the NFL. That's the number 45 on the Rams, who, when that protester stormed the field with some sort of little smoke bomb or something, I can't remember if it was an animal rights activist or a climate change activist or a animal climate activist. I don't know. There was this scrawny dude with a tattoo on his butt running down the sideline. Bobby Wagner just goes, KOs the dude. The guy tried to file suit against him. It was dismissed. I wouldn't mess with a guy like Bobby Wagner. I think there's other places to protest that you might not get trucked. So we will see in the coming days and weeks and months even how the media narrative of this whole Damar Hamlin incident changes. He's got the right to keep his medical information private, but boy, everyone wants to know what the heck happened, right? So it'll be interesting to see, because the media will probably take it in some direction that they feel it should go in, whether it's correct or not. And then in the meantime, the NFL, being the NFL, did their best to kind of screw up the whole situation now that we're coming near the playoffs. They decided basically that the game between the Bills and Bengals should not be made up, which is, I think, fine. I don't have a solution to it, but it's very convoluted now that the Bills and Chiefs were basically tied, and the Bills beat them. But now the Bills lost that advantage, so they have to play next week, and Kansas City gets a bye. So, but the flip side is that if it comes down to it, the winner goes to the Super Bowl. The conference championship game will be on a neutral site. So that's kind of weird. And where is that neutral site going to be, by the way? I don't know. I think I think they should play it in Butte, Montana. Just a thought. Okay, well, what's going on in the news? The House Republicans finally, after several days of bickering and essentially a circus, they finally got their speaker in line. And a lot of people were very upset about this. It went on several days, and those are several days that Congress would have been doing the people's business. And now, instead, they got nothing done.
Got the blue state blues, seeing red all the time. Got the blue state blues, seeing red all the time. Gonna drown my blue state sorrow in a bottle of red, red wine. I get the blue state blues every time I see the polls close. I get the blue state blues every.
Elsewhere in pop culture, Prince Harry has written a new autobiography called Spare. I wish he would spare us and just go away, right? I mean, aren't we all a little sick of Harry and Meghan by this time? I think we are. I mean, she's such a little bitch. And I don't like Meghan either. But for those who just can't get enough of Harry and Meghan, A Very Odd Caster has for you the Harry and Meghan urinal cake. That's right. Guys, we all have had that experience where we're in a public restroom and we're standing there surrounded by other strange dudes, and we get that bout of stage fright. We're just like, I thought I had to go, but geez, with this guy next to me staring at me, I can't do it. But if you had a Harry and Meghan urinal cake, that pee be flowing. And that would qualify as a word from our make-believe sponsor. Yes, A Very Odd Caster will be unleashing its new line of urinal cakes, and we think that Harry and Meghan will feature prominently on that collection, and we'll keep you posted on that, and you'll be able to order your very own urinal cake by writing to veryoddcaster@gmail.com. That's veryoddcaster@gmail.com. And my New Year's resolution in 2023 is, well, I don't have one. So before I wrap up here on the first episode of the winter season of A Very Odd Caster, I wanted to chat a little bit about what I'm binge watching at the moment. I don't do a lot of binge watching, but when I get into it, I'm into it. And I'll tell you what I'm into now. I am into that show called Dexter. The show is filmed in the mid-2000s for about 7 or 8 seasons. As usual, I'm behind the times about a decade and a half, but I was encouraged to watch the show, and yeah, it's good. I am currently in midway through season 4, and Dexter, so if you don't know what Dexter is about, the quick premise, he's basically a vigilante. He's a serial killer vigilante, where he kills bad guys. He kills people who have killed others And so it puts him in the class of a vigilante. When I first heard about it, I'm thinking, why am I going to watch a show where the star is a freaking serial killer? But it's pretty good how they dressed this up. Hollywood does a good job. They've always done a good job. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, lovable dudes. Criminals, but lovable dudes. Bonnie and Clyde, we just wanted them to get married. You know, on and on. Those are actual, real historical figures that Hollywood dressed up to make more sympathetic. But Dexter, the actor, he's a squeaky clean boy next door looking guy. He's likable in the show, and he, you know, you're almost kind of rooting for him because these are bad characters that he's offing, but it's gross. You know, he chops them up and stuff, and it's like, Anyhow, so I'm in the middle of season 4, and he's currently pursuing another serial killer who's a whack job. The serial killer is played by Jonathan Lithgow, who's a real good actor. He's a creep in this thing. So I'm about halfway through it. I don't know what's going to happen. I actually kind of know what's going to happen a little bit to Dexter's on-screen wife, Rita. Something not too good is about to happen to her because I stumbled upon that info while trolling on the internet. But I'm not exactly sure how it's going to go down. So anyhow. So I recommend Dexter if you can stomach a little fake blood. It's a pretty good show. I think that's about it for this first episode of A Very Odd Caster for the year 2023. I will check in with you next week and see you.
Artificial devil walking high, physical combat, crawling in the